There is a SWAT team looking for a fugitive who is involved with some Mexican drug cartel. And the officer that leads the operation finds out that the suspect is, or better said, the fugitive is more a fugitive. He is located in a house in Los Angeles. So the SWAT team go towards the house, and under command of the officer that leads the operation, they break into the house to arrest the guy. But before they break in, they fire some shots. Now, they get the guy, the suspect, and put him in chains, and he has to appear before the judge. But look at this. That house that the suspect was in was the house of his nephew, and the nephew's 4-year-old daughter was there. During the raid of the SWAT team, that 4-year-old girl got wounded and she died later in the hospital. Now, it was not the intention of the SWAT team to harm anyone. They just wanted the suspect unharmed. However, the situation was quite tensed in a negative way, that it was to expect that things would go bad. And look at this. One of the bullets hit a 4-year-old girl. Now, it's a tragic thing indeed. Nobody can give life back to that 4-year-old girl that passed away. But look at the other side of it. That fugitive was wanted both by the criminal world as well as by the police internationally. So that nephew of his knew that this uncle of his was wanted. He knew it. So if he knew that his uncle was wanted both by the criminal world and by the police, why did he receive him in his house, knowing full well that this man has so much danger coming after him? So by receiving his uncle into his house, he endangered both himself as well as his own household. Now, it's still the bullet from the SWAT team that killed the 4-year-old girl. It's not her father that literally killed her, but the father did put that little girl in danger. So the father did contribute to her death, no matter how you look at it. So you can't put all the blame on the fugitive. The man who received the fugitive is also to blame for allowing this dangerous individual to be in his house. Now, in this case, the death of that 4-year-old girl is collateral damage. Now, collateral damage happens often during wartime, when there are places being bombed off the enemy side. Or collateral damage also happens in fights within families. For example, let's say there's a divorce. Husband and wife separate, but now you have children who have to deal with the trauma of parents separating. That's collateral damage. Let's say now that one of the children who see the divorce of their parents develop unhealthy coping mechanisms, and they end up in a toxic relationship later on in life. And now that toxic relationship also affects the community. So the community now also suffers collateral damage of the divorce of those two people. Collateral damage is anytime there are unintended bad consequences befalling on other people who are not involved with the matter. So collateral damage, let me repeat, is anytime there are unintended bad consequences befalling people who are not involved with the matter. That matter can be a conflict, it can be a war, it can be a fight, whatever it is that goes on. Other people who are not directly involved can be harmed by the impact of that conflict. So that's something for you to remember. Whenever there's a conflict going on, it's not only the perpetrator and the victim that's involved. The surroundings are also affected. Now, if the community does not intervene in the conflict and do that in a constructive way, they end up enabling it, and that enabling of the conflict will also increase collateral damage. So collateral damage often happens in two ways. Either by the community allowing evil to go unrestrained without dealing with the issues of their community, or It can be the result of people resisting you. If people can't stand you, they have issues against you, but they just don't succeed in shutting you up, shutting you down, or getting rid of you, what happens then is that failure to control you will cause them to feel humiliated. And the moment they feel humiliated, they will mentally decompose. And once that happens, they become deranged, dangerous individuals that are likely to escalate on any vulnerable individual that surrounds them. So maybe you were fired from your job. And a lot of people expect you to become homeless, whatever. But then you figure out later that you bounce back and you have your own business and you're earning much better than you ever did. Now, your success story is an humiliation to people who wanted to bring you down. They all invested in seeing you down. But now you're up, and you know what? This is going to be very humiliating and very painful mentally. This mental pain is something they cannot cope with. So one of them may end up beating his wife, screaming at her, or beating one of his children, and now you have domestic violence case. Now you have family court involved. All of that is collateral damage, though to their anger against you. They couldn't succeed in bringing you down, so now that bitterness, that resentment that developed against you increases and increases and explodes somewhere, and other people get hurt. That's why society often joins the perpetrators against the victim so that collateral damage is hindered. That is something society often does. Now, listen to me, saints. You cannot prevent collateral damage. Okay? Collateral damage will be there either by the world's neglect towards their own, which is what happens every day, or by the world retaliating against you. There will be collateral damage. And here's the thing, the world will blame you for the collateral damage even when you are not the one that caused it. Now look, what we can do is to prevent as much collateral damage as possible. Now we can't prevent the collateral damage will happen. It will happen. Bad stuff will happen. But we can, as far as we are able to, use our influence in such a way that we avoid unnecessary escalations. And by doing that, we limit the amount of collateral damage. That is what we can do. But collateral damage will be there. That's why there are smart worldlings who avoid you when you are targeted. When you are targeted, when you are the target of scorn or the target of contention, a lot of worldlings tend to stay away from you because they know if they are associated with you, some of that anger that's targeted at you may rub off on them. Now, that's cowardly on one hand, but on the other hand, it's smart, especially if they have children and all those other people in their care. And they can't afford to become the target. Listen, collateral damage will happen. Now, we can prevent as much as possible by being wise as serpents and innocent as doves. That means we de-escalate things as soon as possible. But even when you de-escalate things, there will always be reprobates that just want to escalate and collateral damage will happen. So, when you pray, send healing to those affected by the collateral damage. And if they receive it, they'll be better. If not, it's not on you. Keep on walking by faith. Be at peace.